Welcome on into the Wolverine TV. Clayton Safey here with EJ Holland and Tim Verghese. We are going to talk about 5 key recruits that both EJ and Tim saw on the road in the recent past here. So we'll break them down, and we'll start with a guy that EJ you've seen a lot, but Tim, you got the chance to see him at the underclassmen combine. Dante Moore, Michigan's biggest target in 2023, as we kind of shift focus now more so to that cycle. Quarterback out of Detroit King, won the state title, is becoming more and more of a name on the national scene as well as things progress. What did you see out of Dante? I saw him in game and have seen him in a couple circuits, and I think it's pretty easy to be impressed with this kid.
Yeah, finally saw Dante more live. Looking forward to seeing him more in action. He was an invite to the combine just as a spectator. He's got an open invite to the All American Bowl. And so every year, the bowl flies out some underclassmen that have invites or have already accepted invites to just come hang out. So Moore was among that group. So I didn't really get to see him participate, but he was around. Talked to him a little bit. Spoke highly of Michigan. Notre Dame and Ohio State are also involved in that recruitment. Um, I think it's a little early for him. I think his mind was so focused on getting that state championship for King, and he talked extensively on how much of an accomplishment that was for him. That was his biggest high school goal, and he was able to knock it out as a junior. So now I think he's the last couple of weeks and moving forward, he's kind of starting to plan his off season. So no specific dates in mind just yet. One we know for sure he's going to try and see Oregon here in the next couple of weeks. Probably hit some other West Coast schools while he's out there. He wants to hit down south. Obviously see some of the Midwest schools that have remained in his recruitment, like Michigan, like Notre Dame, Ohio State, Penn State, etc. But he's going to try and make it down south, kind of for the first time. So it's going to be interesting to see, which schools he hits down there because things are such in a flux right now with QB recruiting nationally. That is going to be, we'll know a little more about what he prioritizes and what he's really looking for out of a school when he kind of makes these national visits. So it was good to catch up with him. I'll be seeing him live throw in person here in the next couple of weeks at a 7-on-7 tournament. So I'm excited to see him in action live for the first time.
Definitely. Yeah, and it's interesting Michigan threw out an offer to Arch Manning as well, the number one player in that class, but obviously Dante Moore remaining the top priority. EJ, let's talk about Charles Jagasa, which I think I'm saying his name right. 6'5", 280 pound offensive tackle out of kind of your neck of the woods there in Illinois, number 78 player in the country on the On3 consensus. Your thoughts on talking to him and seeing him?
Yeah, definitely. I've made the drive out to Rock Island, Illinois, which is actually right on the border of Illinois and Iowa. So it's not in Chicagoland. It's kind of way out in the middle of nowhere. You drive for 2 hours and see absolutely nothing. Like there's even a sign that says last gas station. So he's way out there. And I think he kind of remained hidden for a little while before he blew up on the recruiting trail recently. Not necessarily super recently, but in the fall, notched quite a few offers from around the Big Ten. I think Michigan and Notre Dame have kind of separated themselves as leaders early on. He still likes schools like Arkansas and Oklahoma, but with Jagasa, he's a really high GPA kid. He goes to a private Catholic school that has rigorous academics. His mother's a Northwestern graduate, so I think he actually really does care about academics, which makes Michigan and Notre Dame very appealing. I think right now I would say Notre Dame has a slight edge, but Sherrone Moore was on the phone with him yesterday, and they are now planning to talk twice a week moving forward. So he is a top prospect as a tackle. He's 6'6", 300 pounds in a 2023 class that's full of talented interior prospects. Jagusah is a true tackle, whether it's a left or a right. He's that guy that has that 6'6" frame. Michigan values height and athleticism in their tackles. He is very athletic. He grew up playing soccer, didn't pick up football until the 7th grade. He finished fourth in the Illinois heavyweight class in wrestling at the state championships last year. Probably the favorite to be the state champion this year in the heavyweight class as a junior. So there's a lot to like about Jagusah, and he is looking to make a return visit to Michigan. He made it in the fall for the game against Indiana. He'll be back sometime this spring on that visit. He didn't get a chance to really see the campus or meet with the staff too much. So he wants to get a true feel for Michigan like he did with Notre Dame when he made the visit out there. And I think that visit can maybe push Michigan, ahead of the Irish, or at least pull them even. But I really like where Michigan stands, like I said, right up there with Notre Dame.
As you mentioned, Rock Island out near Iowa, which is where you were able to see Andrew DePape. I believe I'm saying that one right. You're testing me with the names today. But on the other side of the ball, 2023 edge, 6'5", 238, number 102 player on the On3 consensus. So another elite guy that would potentially in college go up on the other side of the ball there in practice at the edge spot. What did you see from him? I assume that was on the same swing.
Yeah, so Andrew DePape, I don't know if I'm saying it right either. I think
that probably is right.
But yeah, Andrew's an interesting prospect. He actually trains with Charles Jagasa. They work out at the same facility, so they do go against each other quite a bit. They haven't talked much about playing with each other at the next level, but both are high-level guys that Michigan is after. It's interesting with Michigan's edge recruiting. They have so many guys on the board nationally. I mean, it's an extraordinary year for edge rushers in 2023 across the board. There are at least a dozen top 150 players at the edge spot nationally, which is pretty crazy to think about. So Michigan really likes Andrew in that Aiden Hutchinson role more so than the Ajabo role. They really like him more as a Hutchinson guy at 6'5", 238 pounds. He's pretty lean. He can play up at 265. I thought his workout was a little up and down. He's a guy that just needs to work on being more consistent, but he's pretty athletic for being that size. He's a guy that can run a 4.7 40, but I think he still needs to continue to work on getting a little more twitchy. He is long. He does need to get in the weight room and add some strength and power to his game. He is technically sound, so there's a lot to like, a lot that he needs to work on. But either way, obviously, he has that very high ranking. I think the ceiling for him is very, very high. He likened himself to Aiden Hutchinson. He loved what Michigan did with the edge rusher room this year. He visited for the game against Washington, and he's looking to make a return visit in the spring. He actually earned his offer from Michigan at a summer camp. So he's been on campus twice. He's looking to make his third trip to Ann Arbor here in the near future. But both Jagasa and DePape were really good to see, especially with those guys out close to Iowa where nobody really gets eyes on them.
For sure. Let's flip back to the offensive side of the ball and switch back to you, Tim, with Trayon Webb, 2023 running back out of Trinity Christian Academy down in Jacksonville, Florida, 4-star on the On3 consensus, number 122 player in the country, number 5 running back there. What did you see from him? Were you able to see him go through some drills, or was he just also down there as a spectator?
He was a spectator as well, but it was good to catch up with him. He recently reopened his recruitment, so previously he's tried to make quick decisions somewhat in his recruitment. He was committed to Georgia since 2019 and decommitted in early 2021 from that Georgia commitment, then quickly committed to, after a couple months, getting to see some schools. He committed to Oklahoma over the summer, but recently backed off that commitment as well once Lincoln Riley left for USC. So this third pretty much go around at his recruitment, he's taking things a lot slower. He's not planning on making a decision anytime soon. Playing this down to, he even said as it stands right now, he'll want to make a decision either at the All-American Bowl this time next year or on National Signing Day. So this thing's going to go the length of the full process. So, this allows for some new schools to enter the picture like Michigan. Michigan entered the picture. They had an offer out, but they really started picking up communication once he decommitted. Coach Hilo and Coach Hart are actually managing this recruitment. Funny enough, Coach Hilo, obviously a linebackers coach, but he's got strong ties to Jacksonville and has been recruiting Webb since Webb was in 7th grade. So there's a long-standing relationship there. So both of them are recruiting Webb. They even went out to see him the day after Webb's state championship game back in December, and kind of pitched him on being the premier back for Michigan and sold him on Michigan's running style, smash mouth football. And so there's a lot of intrigued by Webb at this point. He's looking to make his first visit to Michigan here in March. Obviously we'll see how things progress from there. Obviously schools nationwide are still involved. Penn State's still involved. Georgia's still involved. USC's involved because of Lincoln Riley Oklahoma could get back in the picture. Some of the Florida schools are obviously involved. So, it's a couple other suitors in the mix, but Michigan's pretty much surged since the decommitment. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see, how hard they push, how high on the running back board he really is. Is he their number one guy now? So it's going to be kind of interesting to see over the next couple of months how the kind of dominoes at the running back position play out. And obviously, speaking of running back dominoes, we've got another running back to talk about.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better. Let's move on to Mark Fletcher, also out of Florida, this time out of Fort Lauderdale American Heritage, a big powerhouse school down there. 6'1", 225, 4-star as well on the On3 consensus, number 162 nationally. Tim, your thoughts on him?
Yeah, Fletcher was another one that was just an invite to hang out but not really compete. But I think honestly, he's closer to 6'2" than he is 6'1". He's about 6'2", but somewhere between 225, 230. So he's a big bruising back. And I think there really isn't that type of running back that Michigan has offered yet in this class, and he has an offer. But he is one of the few like true bruising back types that Michigan's offered in this class. So Michigan kind of re-entered that picture pretty recently. They've really started pushing a little harder for him here the last couple of weeks. When they were down in Miami for the Orange Bowl, they invited Fletcher out to an open practice, and he really liked what he saw. Liked the way Michigan used Hassan Haskins, likes the way just the offensive scheme was built around running backs. Really liked, how the tempo of practice, and just getting to see Coach Harbaugh, Coach Hart, and all those guys kind of in action. He didn't get to talk to the staff in person, obviously. But he's had communication over the phone with Coach Hart. And Michigan is really, really pushing hard in the last couple of weeks for him. Penn State's again a school to watch here. I think Penn State's in a better spot with Fletcher than they are with Webb, but they are in both recruitments. They are involved in both recruitments, so it's going to be something to watch. Fletcher and Webb actually play in the same 7-on-7 team and have been close friends for a couple years now. And obviously, they through the 7-on-7 circuit. So it'll be interesting to see if Michigan kind of pushes a package deal or a two-back situation there. But Fletcher's going to be one to watch. He's going to try and make a visit this offseason, but he doesn't have any concrete plans like Webb does at this point. But I think he's going to be one to watch only because, for the Big Ten, his overall body type, I think, fits the Big Ten much, much better.
Yeah, and if you're a big, physical back, watching what Hassan Haskins did this past season can't hurt if you're Michigan to be able to show him that sort of film and how they can use a guy like him. But those are the 5 key recruits that these guys saw here in the last week or so. Stay tuned for coverage on all those guys and more Michigan football recruiting coverage at thewolverine.com. We still have our $1 deal going right now, $1 for an entire year. It's all over the front page, so go and do that. Just click it at the top and sign up.